Hey girl, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing something a little different. This is my very first story time I'm ever doing, so bear with me. But I just wanted to explain and tell you guys a story on why I personally left Sephora. So if you would like to know, just keep on watching. So my experience with Sephora was actually amazing. I loved the time I was there. I was actually with Sephora for about 4.5 years, almost 5 years. I was with 2 different Sephora locations. I started out in North Carolina. Shout out to my North Carolina Sephora in Greensboro. So pretty much I was still in college at that time, and I was working across the street at a different retailer. And when Sephora was opening, the very first Sephora in Greensboro was opening, the manager or the director was just kind of scouting out people to recruit people to work at the new Sephora. And I was one of the new recruits that got recruited into work in Sephora, and I was so excited. That was my very first time I've ever actually officially been into a Sephora, which is really weird because prior to that I think I've only bypassed one before. I've only seen one, but I've never actually shopped in one. So it was a whole new experience for me. At that time I was still in school, so I got the job at the Sephora, which I was so excited. I actually went in for an interview before I even filled out an application, which is so weird. They just called me and be like, hey, can you come in for an interview? I was like, okay, sure. So I went in for an interview, and then she gave me an application to fill out. And then, a couple days later, I got a call back, and yada yada yada, I got the job. So I was super excited. So from there, I started in the fragrance section. So usually for people who don't have a lot of makeup experience, they usually kind of put you either in register or in the fragrance section to kind of just start out to kind of get the feel of it. So clearly I've never even been in a Sephora, so they couldn't just throw me on the floor and have me do people's makeup. So I started the fragrance. So I was there for about a year or so until that current director left and a new person came in. She was the one who actually came in as an assistant director or an assistant manager prior to my manager leaving. So I actually got to kind of walk her through how, the fragrance wall works, how the fragrance IQ works. It was the whole shebang. So, so when the main director left, the assistant director essentially took over, and she was like, you have a lot of passion for color. I want to move you into color, full time now. And I was like, what? Me into color? I was so excited because I was really wanting to kind of get into the color world, and I was stuck in the fragrance wall, and I enjoy the fragrance wall, obviously, but it was just, I just kind of stood there, sold fragrances, and that's about it. It wasn't exciting at all whatsoever. So eventually when I got into the color, I was super excited. I got to try new products, different brands. I got to go across the store to try out different products, because when you're on the fragrance wall, you got to stick to that fragrance wall. You're chained to that fragrance wall. You can't leave it due to loss prevention issues, and also if a client was to come up, you want to introduce fragrance to them. Anyways, fast forward, after that, I graduated college. When I got done with college, I moved back to New York City. And at that time, when I was moving back up to New York City, there was a gentleman that was from the 5th Avenue location who was moving back to North Carolina. So coincidentally, we had a swap. We literally just swapped places. So he took my place, and I took his place in 5th Avenue. He took my place in Greensboro, which is so cool. It worked out perfectly. I came up over the summertime around 2015, 16, somewhere like that. Anyways, got my dates all messed up. Anyway, so I eventually came up, interviewed with the 5th Avenue directors, and I got the job. It was more of like a meet and greet than a actual formal interview. Because I've been with Sephora already, it's just me transferring to a different store. The directors just wanted to kind of know who I was, what my talents were, and where I saw myself in Sephora. So I eventually moved back up to New York, started at 5th Avenue, and it was a whole new experience. the Fifth Avenue store, if you know, it's that giant staircase that leads up to the fragrance section. It is glamorous, it is luxurious, it is opulent. Like, it's just a whole new world that, you know, coming from the North Carolina Sephora. So I was with that Fifth Avenue Sephora for about 2.5 years-ish, a little more than that. And then I eventually, you know, resigned and then moved on to my current job. The reason why I left Sephora was because when I started at Sephora, my goal was to progress and to move up the artistry ladder. So I was wanting to become a cast member and eventually become a pro artist. A pro artist in Sephora is essentially the artists who travel, who get to work fashion shows, who get to do the backstage and all of that. And that was my goal at Sephora, is to become one of them. So the requirement for becoming a pro artist is every 2 years they will have an audition. Even if you are on the current staff of the pro artist, you had to re-audition to be reconsidered for that position. So I was like, it is my job, my duty to become a pro artist. So I was all about that. I was getting prepared. I was, you know, advancing in my artistry skills, my education in the knowledge of the products I was using. It was all going very well until the last year of my career in Sephora. Halfway into the second store I was at, a year after that, they completely changed the whole program and revamped it. So now the pro artistry is a permanent position. So that means there was no way for me to get that position unless a pro artist either gets fired, leaves, or dies. One or the three, for me to be able to get that spot. And that really kind of put a damper in my career goals that I had set out for me with Sephora, because now that pretty much says you don't know when you're going to be getting that position. It could be next 2 months, 2 years, you know, who knows how long that position would be full and when it would open again. So now they also change it where you had to become a color artist first, then become a beauty store captain or like a senior artist. Senior artists are pretty much the ones who kind of coach the color artists in if new products come out, just kind of help train and educate the new cast members. So you had to become one of that, and then eventually you could be considered for a pro artist. So that means I had to jump through about another 2 hoops to just become a pro artist. It used to be, when they had the whole 2-year re-audition thing, you could just be a color artist. You could be anybody in the store. You could be a fragrance, you could be a skincare, anybody, and to be able to audition for the pro artistry team. So when they completely changed that program, I was just not feeling it anymore, because I feel like now I'm just working to work and to make money. I'm not working towards a goal anymore. So eventually, you know, it just ended for me, and I was like, you know what, I love Sephora, I loved my team, but I don't see myself going anywhere further than this spot I'm in. Now, they were thinking about putting me into senior artist, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I've been there for 4.5 years already. I want to be advanced into a higher education role or a leadership role or something by now, but I'm still not. It's because they keep changing these programs, and from me moving to one store to another, that also kind of had a setback for me. So this is the thing about when I was leaving. A lot of people thought that I was ditching Sephora to go to MAC, and I was like, why the hell would I ditch Sephora, where I had an amazing experience, to just go to MAC, where, honey, that's a whole nother story time there. Anyways, so, you know, they were assuming that, and I was like, no, I'm actually going to go to a different brand, a more luxurious brand. So I'm glad I, you know, had my time with Sephora, and I'm glad I moved on and continued on what I'm doing now. So this is the thing about a lot of other people's experiences. You know, I've heard and seen a lot of videos and just remarks about on why they left Sephora, and it seems like majority of them have to do with you know, they didn't like the environment they were in, they didn't care for the management, they didn't care for, you know, there was something wrong. And to be honest, my experience with Sephora was, as I said again, it was amazing. I enjoyed my stay with Sephora. I enjoyed both of my locations where I was at. And I also feel as though the person themselves, they have to take, responsibility on, their part and their role in Sephora, because I worked at 2 different Sephoras in 2 different cities, like a small town and an enormous city. So I've gotten both views on both sides. I've had different management change roles or move and come and all of that. I've seen them all already. And I feel like with me, I vibed very well with management. I did what I had to do. I, did my duties. I didn't slack off. I didn't, try to cut corners with things. I was genuinely there to try to build a career with Sephora, and a lot of these people, when they come in, they are just looking for a part-time job that they can get free makeup out of and then get a couple bucks out of, and that's it. And I feel like that is not the right mindset to go in to work for Sephora. Sephora, at the end of the day, is you want to build a career with them. They're there to, motivate you and to kind of push you into doing things that you never thought you would be able to do. So with me, I, was doing really well in both settings. I vibed really well with the management. Even the different brands that came in, I got along with them really well. The stores were amazing. The clientels were amazing. So for a lot of these people, they always complain about, oh, my manager does, my manager. Well, you know what? Unfortunately, you had to step up. Say something, you had to say something, or just leave. And it seems like that's what they did. They just left because it wasn't doing them justice. But with my time that I had Sephora, it was great. I enjoyed it, and I would not change a thing. But besides the whole entire program that they completely swapped on me, I'm like, ugh. Outside of that, I really liked Sephora. The gratises were amazing. Like, if you did well, if you sold the products, if you just got free stuff, why wouldn't you? And people are like, I didn't like this. I'm like, you know what, girl, it's free. Get over it. So, I'm glad I had the time I had with Sephora, because I really got to build my people skills. I really got to build my artistry skills, as well as building connections. I've met many brands, all of their account executives. I've even gotten the chance to meet the CEO of Sephora, Calvin, and he is amazing. So that's the great thing about Sephora. You get to go to many places when you advance up to different levels. You get to meet a lot of people. I've met some of my own private clients from Sephora, and that's the great thing about Sephora. It's all about how you make it. And I feel bad and fortunate for the ones who didn't have a good time at Sephora. But, as my story goes, I really did enjoy Sephora. Don't get this twisted, because I feel like people are going to start, assuming things. But no, I really had a great time at Sephora. It was just I wasn't advancing at the pace I wanted to. I wasn't going to be able to get the position I wanted to. So I was like, you know what, I'll just leave it at that. But other than that, I hope to you, the ones who eventually are going to go and work for Sephora. So this is my little tip to those of you who are interested in going to work for Sephora, is go in and know that this could potentially be a full-on career. Don't take it as a part-time job or a side job just to get free makeup or to get discount on makeup. Don't go in with a mindset like that, because you're going to hate it at the end of the day. It's very busy. The paces are very fast. You're going to have all forms of clients, the good ones, the bad ones, the ones who will spend, the ones who are so cheap, they want samples on everything. They want samples on mascara. I'm like, girl, calm down. No, try it on here. That's why we have Teslas. But, it's just, remind yourself that you're going in this, you want a career out of, not just to get by. If you want, go and get another job if that's the case, because at the end of my career with Sephora, I actually had the chance to kind of work alongside the HR manager. I was able to, call in interviewees. I got to eventually sit in on interviews and see how my HR manager conducts interviews. And you know, I got to see what he was looking for in people that he's trying to recruit to work for Sephora. It was the same exact experience I went through. It was really enjoyable. So at the end of the day, if you're gonna go into Sephora with a, I want to get free this, free that, discount this, then don't do it. It's gonna be a waste of your time and your sanity. So I would just suggest you move on. But if you really, really have a passion in makeup, in leadership roles, in skincare, anything, and you want to make cosmetics or cosmetology and beauty into a career, then I feel like Sephora would be the best for you. It'd be the best job outside of working for a salon or any other sort of beauty-based job. So other than that, this is my, you know, first story time. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please leave me a comment on what I should do next, or any other stories that you guys might want to know or something. Other than that, please comment, like, and subscribe, and go follow me on all my social media links down below, and I'll see you later. Bye, girl.